यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Verse 27 हृदीव बाह्यदेशेऽपि यस्मिन् कस्मिंश्च वस्तुनि समाधिराद्यः सन्मात्रात् नामरूपपृथक्कृतिः. So in this Drsya Viveka, well, the first 5 verses describes that there are 3 seers in this person. We feel the person is a seer. No, there are 3 seers. The sense organs are the first seer, then the mind is a second seer, and then witness consciousness, Sakshi, is a third seer. And also it has been mentioned, out of 3 seers, well, one is really intrinsic seer, the other 2 are incidental seers. That is, mind is an incidental seer, the sense organ are incidental seer, whereas Sakshi is ever seer by nature. Mind and sense organs have borrowed the consciousness from the Sakshi and have become sentient, and thereby they have become seer, experiencer, Drik. So that was the introduction of the first 5 verses. And then 6 to 12, we also saw the discussion of function of 3 seers. And then 13 to 21, a description of a samsara in absence of Drsya Viveka. In absence of this real seer and the seen division, in absence of that, there is a clear division, but one is not aware of that division. In that case, there is an experience of a samsara on the part of the person. That has been explained in that verse, between verse 13 to 21. Then verse 22 onwards, the next topic came, and that is, suppose if I gain this discriminative knowledge that I am the Drik, and this is Drishyam, mind is Drishyam, actually sense organs are Drishyam, outside world is Drishyam, that is fine. But still samsara doesn't go, even after knowing in the class. Then what should be done? So for that purpose, this topic has been raised from verse number 22 onwards, and that is the topic of Nididhyasanam. And that is also Nididhyasanam, basically twofold, but here we are discussing is Samadhi Abhyasa. Abhyasam is a practice. Practice of this Nididhyasanam, Samadhi, Nididhyasanam. People call it absorption. The Nididhyasanam itself results into absorption. That is the thing. But anyway, so from verse 22 onwards, this is the topic going on. And then he introduced 6 types of Samadhi. 3 internal and 3 external. Having introduced these 6 Samadhis, then author explains each one of them. So he described Antara Drsya Anuvidya Savikalpa Samadhi in verse 24. Then Antara Val Shabda Anuvidya Savikalpa Samadhi in verse 25. And then Antara Nirvikalpaka Samadhi has been explained in verse number 26. And now we will be seeing from verse 27 onwards, Bahya. So Samadhi, well, is twofold here. Even the Samadhi is of twofold. One is Antara, other is Bahya, internal Dhyanam, internal Nididhyasana of self. External also you can do, keeping your eyes open and appreciating the self, not seeing the self through the eyes. Right? Not seeing the self. Appreciating. There also discrimination. Here also, inside also there is a discrimination. We'll see that. So basically, Antara Bahya. Then in Antara also, again twofold. Drsya Anuvidya. Anuvidya means connected. Connected to what is experienced inside. Antara Drsya Anuvidya. Samadhi. That Samadhi is basically connected to the objects of experience inside. What is the object of experience inside? Thoughts. And therefore, there Antara Drsya, meaning of the word Drishyam, is thought so far as internal is concerned. Outside Drishyam is object. But internal is this. Anyway, so Antara Drsya Anuvidya Savikalpaka Samadhi. And it is Savikalpaka only because you are resorting to the thoughts. And you are basically, through thought, you are coming to the Sakshi, etc. We'll discuss. So therefore, Vikalpa is still there. And there is a will effort, everything is there. Therefore, it is Savikalpa only. So, Antara Drsya Anuvidya Savikalpaka Samadhi. Then, Antara Shabda Anuvidya. Shabda, Vedantic words pertaining to the self. Nitya, Shuddha, Sangaha, Purnaha, Sachidananda, and all. So then you resort to that. In that also, Drishyam comes first and then comes Shabda. I will explain you. And then Antara Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is, their will effort is not involved, but it's automatically, this Savikalpa Samadhi automatically lands into Nirvikalpa. That is a special nature of the mind. Okay. So, Antara Nirvikalpa Samadhi. By being Nirvikalpa, there are no Vedantic thoughts here required. There are no, there are no thoughts required here to do the Samadhi. No will, no effort. There are no Vedantic words required. And therefore, basically, will, effort gone, the Ahankara gone, etc. I will explain you. Therefore, it is Nirvikalpa only. So, Antara Nirvikalpa. There you please don't expect Antara Drsya Anuvidya Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That will not be there. So, 3 inside. Now, before I go to the Bahya, Drsya Anuvidya Savikalpa Samadhi, Bahya Shabda Anuvidya Savikalpa Samadhi, and Bahya Nirvikalpa Samadhi, before I go into that, since I have talked to you, and I feel like that I should again give you a clear picture of this Samadhi. Anyway, so this meditation, this Samadhi is connected to the internal condition of the mind. Now, in the first stage, the meditator focuses his attention on the thoughts occurring in the mind. There also again problem. As you focus your attention on the thought at this moment, as you become conscious of the thoughts going on in this moment, mind stops. And therefore what you should do, You should not think like this, that, well, let me be conscious, be witness to my thoughts. As you become, the mind stops thinking. No thoughts are generated. So you should basically think that I am the one who illumines all thought. I am the one who experiences the thoughts, who talks about my thoughts, thought patterns, nature of the thoughts, nature of mind. Who talks? Who I, the conscious being, talks about. Therefore, well, I basically, so these thoughts are there, which are objects of experience for me. They are drishyam. And so, first he analyzes. In the samadhi, he is analyzes not of the present state, well, let me be conscious of the thought. And then, as I become conscious of the thought, then I appreciate. No, 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 no. Or you already know this. And so, take that thinking, take that part of, your knowledge, bring here right now. So, your attention on the thoughts occurring in the mind. And Drshyam, as I told you, it refers to thoughts. They are objects of experience. So, and that those thoughts basically are objects of experience, objects of knowledge. Therefore, they are illumined by consciousness principle. That is that third seer, Sakshi Chaitanyam, etc. And that is called Drik. The Chaitanyam is Drik. So, with respect to the thoughts, well, there is a Sakshi Chaitanyam, Drik, seer number 3. And thereafter, he appreciates the fact that every thought is experienced because the consciousness spreads entire thought. Just as every object outside is experienced totally because the light pervades that object, the same way, the whole thought is experienced by me. Therefore, whole thought is actually pervaded by the consciousness principle. Thought by itself, this is all thinking going on. In Savikalpak Samadhi, there is a will, there is an effort. So, the thought by itself is not experienceable because the thought is inert. And this inert vritti is appearing sentient and experienceable because of consciousness. Like the object is not shining on its own. Therefore, the object right now is experienced outside because the light pervades it. Same way here, well, the thoughts are experienced, but not because the thought by itself is illumining. Thoughts are illumined by the consciousness principle. This consciousness is not physically separable from the thought. Can never happen. So attention, you should not try to separate consciousness, Sakshi, seer number 3, from the seer number 2, mind, thoughts. Basically, you should now, your attention was on the focus. Instead now, the illuminator of the thoughts. So attention should be shifted from the thought part to the Chaitanyam part, witness consciousness part. And when this consciousness is understood as an independent entity, why independent? Why suddenly you brought independent word? Because it is independent. Why? Because thoughts are. Well, then consciousness is, because that's only thought are easy thought. That is how thought is illuminated. I say thought is. So thoughts are. Consciousness, Sakshi is. Thoughts are resolved. Consciousness is. Or even between two thoughts, if I refer to the Panchadashi talk, between two thoughts, even there is no thought, that space, that gap, that blankness also is illumined by consciousness. Therefore, even though they are physically inseparable, thoughts and consciousness, thoughts and Sakshi, still consciousness is independent principle, exists on its own. Whereas thoughts come and go. So, anyway, so this is when the consciousness is understood as an independent entity, we call it as a Sakshi Chaitanyam. So before that, well, consciousness illumines thought, etc., etc. Consciousness is not separate, physically separated from the, or thoughts are not separate from the consciousness. Everything fine physically, etc. Well, that is okay. But when you understand consciousness as the independent principle who illumines the thought as well as who illumines the blankness between the thoughts or even after resolution of the thoughts, therefore, that consciousness is called Sakshi, witness. Anyway, and this meditation is called Drsya Anuviddha Antara Drsya Anuviddha Savikalpaka Samadhi. Antara, internal. Drsya, thoughts. Anuviddha, connected. Savikalpaka Samadhi. This is the Savikalpaka Samadhi, well, which is associated, connected to the thoughts, which is of course antara, internal, right? And it is savikalpa only because in this samadhi will effort is there. If will effort is there, subject ahankara is there, and the object, the sakshi on which you want to meditate is there. When ahankara is there, you have to automatically say object also is there. Subject-object division continues. How do you say? Because will is there, effort is there, or you are doing focusing on thought and then focusing on the sakshi, all will and effort. So this is savikalpaka samadhi with the division of dhyata, dhyeya, etc. Even though you say I am sakshi, still your lot of will is there, so you take yourself as a meditator and you consider the Sakshi Chaitanyam as a object of meditation. Dhyata, Dhye, Pramata, Prameya, etc. That kind of division is there. Okay. And so, this is what. So this is this shifting of attention from the thoughts to the Sakshi, illuminator of the thoughts, is step number 1. After focusing on the Sakshi, now step number 2. After focusing on the Sakshi, the second samadhi is dwelling on the nature of the Sakshi. Not just consciousness, something else. So, the features or the characteristics of the Sakshi Chaitanyam, what? Purnam, right? Consciousness is Purnam, whole. There are no holes in consciousness. Yeah, there are no holes. Why do you say there are no holes? Even whole is pervaded by what? Consciousness. Okay? So between objects are pervaded by consciousness. Between objects there is a whole. That whole is pervaded by the whole. Okay? Therefore you are able to say. So you experience that whole also. So consciousness is whole. W-H-O-L-E. Anyway, so consciousness is whole. Oh, I, the witness consciousness, is whole. Puna. I, the witness consciousness, is asangam. Again, will effort is there. Like Akasha, yeah. That's how Shastra gives an example of Akasha in order to understand the characteristic of Atma. In fact, Atma word is been replaced by Akasha. Yeah, in Upanishad. Yadesha Akasha Anando Nasyat Kohevanyat Kaf Pranyat. If this Akasha is not Ananda Sarupa, who wants to live in this world? Who wants to retain that prana? Akasha is Ananda. Akasha. Asamantat kashate prakashate iti Akasha. So it asamantat kashate prakashate. All the time. So this is how. So all pervading. Anything which is all pervading accommodates everything. But then what is accommodated cannot affect what pervades. Yeah. Akasha pervades everything. Even Ganges also. No, Swamiji, Ganges is on the earth. Earth is pervaded by Akasha. Or the sewage water. Either. So, one is good water, clean water. One is, of course, Ganga also has all kinds of things. But take it, because it's our India. Okay? Therefore, we should not speak. And they are doing, of course, a lot of effort also to clean they have a project. Anyway, so basically, there are objects, there are beautiful flowers which have a fragrance, and there are objects which have a foul smell. All are accommodated by Akasha. But Akasha does not become foul or with a fragrance. No. Same way, all pervading consciousness, whole, pervades everything in and through. In and through. That's what Mundaka says. Bahya abhyantara. Bahya. Internal, external. Which pervades whole, everything. Which pervades everything. Well, that is not affected by the characteristics, attributes of the name and forms. Asangaha. No connection whatsoever. But why not? There may be something by which the Atma is affected. No. Why? Because there is a difference in terms of a reality. Yeah? What is real can never be affected by what is unreal. That's it. What is real can never be affected by what is unreal. Names and forms are unreal, mithya. They can never touch what is satyam. Right? Mithya. Dream lottery. Several times we give examples, so you may be tired. Dream lottery can never make you reach in the waking. Huh? Dream lottery can make you reach in the dream. That is okay. Dream girl cannot, after marriage, change your status of a brahmachari in a waking. And therefore, ultimately, so that is how. So, these names and forms, everything is pervaded by this consciousness, Sakshi. That in that case, there is nothing outside consciousness. There is nothing without consciousness. There is nothing beyond consciousness. Everything exists in Sakshi, consciousness. Therefore, they are mithya. They are just apparent. And therefore, even though consciousness pervades everything, unconnected, unpolluted by attributes of names and forms. Second, so this is a characteristic. You are picking up the word which you have heard in Shravana Mananam. This is Nidhyasanam. Shabda Anuvit, connected to the words. We are thinking, we are meditating upon the self, Sakshi Chaitanyam. Well, the features of the Sakshi Chaitanyam by the words. And then Satchidananda, etc. That consciousness is ever existent. It's ever existent. Things, the whole world exists and becomes non-existent. They come and go. Bodies come and go. Thoughts come and go. Everything comes and goes. Well, consciousness never comes and never goes. What is all pervading can never go and never come. It is, everything exists in consciousness. That consciousness is Sat. It is ever existent. In fact, the very time exists in the consciousness, and therefore, if consciousness exists in time, then consciousness goes in time, comes in time. And therefore, even the very existence of the time is proven in consciousness. In fact, the truth of the time is consciousness. I don't want to go into that. That's another meditation. That's a different meditation. The truth of the time is present. Right? Truth of the time is not past, because past was also present. Future also is going to be present. Then only you will experience. And present is present. And therefore the truth of the time, truth of the past, future and present is present. And in the present, what is present? Present month is present? No, we cannot say. In present month, some days have gone, that is past. Some days are yet to come, it is future. No, present day. Then present day. This is a thing. This is how you have to arrive at. Present day is is present. No. In present day, certain hours have gone, past. Certain hours are going to come, future. This particular hour. You understand? I am saying that the consciousness continues. Present day consciousness, present month consciousness, present hour consciousness. Is it there or not? Try to establish the existence of any length of a present without consciousness. Try. No. As I am reducing the present slot, what is called present, to arrive at the truth of the time, I should exactly determine the truth of present, right? And that slot of time you are not able to arrive at. So you have to reduce, because otherwise past and future are coming. So you want to arrive, pinpoint present. So you have to reduce. You reduce the time, you cannot reduce consciousness. Present month consciousness was large. Present day consciousness is less. क्या बात है? So present day, present hour, present minute, in that also past, future. Then you cannot say present minute is a present. Then present second. Then go. Science has already done. Present second in then milliseconds and microseconds and picoseconds, and now they have something else. I forgot. All reduce. Hey, where is it resolving? Where the time is resolving? What is continuously there it is resolving. Anything which is going into what? What is left over? All the parts are resolved where? What is left over after the parts are broken? Time is resolving into consciousness. The truth of the time is consciousness. In fact, you cannot go, you require a board then. After certain picoseconds and all, you require a board, blackboard. You have to put all mathematical equations. That's it. All concepts. Okay, the present time comes to the level of concepts which are illumined by existed in consciousness. And therefore the truth of time is consciousness. Time exists in consciousness. Consciousness is free from time. Pot exists in clay. Clay is independent of pot. Very pot existence is in clay. Pot are reduced to the clay, resolved into clay. Clay is independent of pots. Consciousness is free from time. I, the Sakshi, is free from time. Therefore, Amritam, Amartya, there are several words. Immortal. Atmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amritam. I am immortal. See, you have picked up word amritam or amartya, free from death, etc. Ajaha, nitya. Nitya also you can say, take it that way. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Right? And so, this is a here will effort is there. Please understand this very well. This does not happen automatically. You have to bring the word, think over, Because you have a Vedantic teaching, Shravan Mananam, everything is clear. Anyway, so this is way you should continue. And while focusing this, you should, very important thing is, you should not objectify the Sakshi. Because anything which you want to know, any object with its feature if you want to know, you will objectify as object of your thought. Then only you can know, otherwise not. Here, in this case, you should not objectify, you should say, I am that Sakshi. Bas. That thought should be there. I am that Sakshi. I am that Asangaha. I am that Purna, whole. I am Satchidananda. I am free from the time. That's what. Word Sakshi you should drop. And word Aham you should keep. Okay? So, and that is essential. That because I is actually self-evident. What is self-evident cannot be objectified, need not be objectified. What is self-evident? Everything in the creation is evident to the consciousness. Without consciousness, nothing is evident. Everything is evident, present to the consciousness. In that, some of the things, the external world is evident to the consciousness, the self, through the means of knowledge, called senses and the mind. And those means of knowledge called senses and mind, seer number 1 and seer number 2, are evident to the consciousness, witness, consciousness, Sakshi. Directly. The very means of knowledge are revealed by the consciousness. World is revealed by the means of knowledge. But means of knowledge are revealed by the Sakshi. Therefore, everything in the creation is evident to the consciousness. Consciousness is self-evident, self-illumining. What is self-illumining? You cannot objectify. What you need not objectify. Everything in the creation is objectified because it is inert, not evident, self-evident. Therefore, you have to objectify it. What is self-evident need not be objectified. The I, the witness consciousness, is self-evident. And so, if you understand like this, then it becomes a aparoksham, immediate. No intervention of means of knowledge. Intervention is only because of means of knowledge. When intervention of means of knowledge, pramana, comes, then the objects are not either called perceptible or objects, the knowledge of the objects will be through indirect means of knowledge. Either they become paroksham, either they become pratyaksham, if intervention of means of knowledge come. Sense organs plus mind, that intervention is there between the Sakshi and the world. Therefore, world we call it as a pratyaksham, perceptible. Then senses you keep aside, and through mind you try to know the world by inference, presumption, drishtanta, etc. Anupalabdhi, or even Shabda. You employ just mind and take resort to this kind of means of knowledge. Then also you will get the knowledge of the world. And we have seen, I don't want to go into that. So when intervention of means of knowledge is there, if senses are not employed, we will not call pratyaksham, we call paroksham. Inferred, presumed. Or through drishtanta you came to know a given object, but not through perception. You understand, oh, this animal is like that animal. So you get a knowledge anyway. So this, but being self-evident, no intervention. without means of knowledge which illumines. That is self-illumining. Whole world, pratyaksham, paroksham, through means of knowledge. Mind plus senses or only mind. That intervention is there. But what illumines, what is known without means of knowledge, is self-illumining, self-evident. Oh, I am that Sakshi. This is aparokshatu. Atmanam chet vijaniyat ayam. Ayam asmi. Ayam aham asmi. That ayam. Aham asmi is okay, but ayam aham asmi. This immediate self is this Purnam, Asangam, etc. etc. Anyway, so I am the illuminators of the, the Sakshi is replaced by the word aham, and I am illuminator of the thoughts. Thoughts arrive and depart, I do not. Thoughts are divided, I am not. That's how we said in Panchadashi. Thoughts arise, consciousness is there. Between the thoughts interval, consciousness is there. Very much. So thoughts are have a division. I, the Sakshi, is akhandam. No khanda. So thoughts are divisible. I, the Sakshi, is indivisible. That's how whole we've said also. Thoughts are confined to the mind. I, the Sakshi consciousness, is not confined to this mind alone. In fact, this mind and that mind and in between the minds and everything and the bodies also are in me. And thank God everything is not, the whole world is not in the mind. That's better. That's a problem. You have to take some sedative in order to unload the mind. We are consciously doing unloading. Consciously you have to do unloading in order to make your meditation successful. You have to unload. You have to unload the people. People are not able to meditate. People are not able to relate mentally to the Lord because the mind is filled up with all people. They don't want to go out. Sparshan kritva bahihi bahyan. Keep the external things external. So it's better. Everything is not in the mind. But still everything is in consciousness. How do you say? Try to prove the existence of anything outside consciousness. No problem. Try. Keep trying. The day you become successful, please let us know. That's how people say, how can you say everything is in me? Then they refer themselves as a mind. Certain objects are objects of thoughts. Rest are not objects of thoughts. So they are external to consciousness. No, they are external to mind. Like some people are there in the premises of Arshavidya Gurukulam. Some people are outside the premises of Arshavidya Gurukulam. With reference to the walls of the Arshavidya Gurukulam, some are inside, some are outside. With respect to the space, all are inside. Therefore, with respect to the wall of mind, certain are objects of thoughts. They are inside the mind. Other are outside. But with respect to the consciousness, everything is inside. Then if everything is inside, then I the consciousness, let everything come inside, including space and time. You are trying to bring in the mind. Please understand. This is to be appreciated. People think that if I am consciousness, I will see the whole world dancing in me like that. Whole world cannot dance in you in terms of mind. In mind, it is just one by one. One by one. When you think of space, you cannot think of time. When you think of time, you cannot think of the person. When you think of the front face, etc. of the person, you cannot think of his back. This is how the mind is. So with respect to mind, well, some are inside, some are outside. With respect to space, consciousness, nothing is outside, nothing is beyond, nothing is without. Consciousness, Sakshi. And therefore, I am whole. Right? Nothing can divide me. No capacity. I am whole, undivided whole. Ekam eva advitiyam. One without the second, etc. Anyway, and that is what in Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan said in 13th chapter in the second verse. Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetreshu. Sarva kshetreshu kshetrajnam mam janati. In all the bodies, well, I exist. All the bodies themselves exist in space. This very space along with the bodies exist in consciousness. Space is equal to space consciousness is. Space is, the existence of space is pervaded by the consciousness. Then only you say it exists. And therefore, so basically, I am the one who is whole, indivisible, full, relationless, taintless, Shuddham. So all the words from the scriptures are taken and associated with the I, the Sakshi Chaitanyam, Sakshi of the thoughts, illuminator of the thoughts. Since I used the Vedantic words in order to understand the features of this Sakshi, Aham, it is called Shabda Anuvidya Val Savikalpaka Samadhi. Here also the very meditator exists, his will, his efforts are there. Savikalpaka. These are the first two stages. Drsya Anuvidya, Shabda Anuvidya, Savikalpaka. So I am invoking this witness consciousness, claiming myself to be witness consciousness, etc., dwelling upon my real nature. My will and deliberate are still there, and so Ahankara, the meditator, is active. So active Ahankara is subject, and so-called Sakshi, etc., is considered as object. Subject-object division is present. I am the meditator, and the Sakshi Sarupam is meditated upon. And this is required. This subject-object division is required because the thought does not naturally, thought centered on the self, which we call Nididhyasana, does not naturally happen. Even you have studied 25 years. As I sit, and immediately all thoughts, without will and effort, I just, slide into, without my will effort, I just slide into the self. It is not going to happen. Therefore, the will and effort is required. One who wills, that Ahankara is required. Ahankara is one who is willing, desiring, emoting, recognizing, recollecting. That is required. Here, of course, in terms of willing, right, putting efforts to keep these thoughts, to bring the thoughts, to think over, to retain, everything is required. Anyway, and then author says, when the meditator basically deliberately entertains such a thought, with will effort he entertain, retain. In Yoga Shastra they call Dhyanam. Dharanam, focusing. Dhyanam, retaining. Dharanam. Dharana. Dhyana. Samadhi. Dharanam is a focusing. That's what we did on Sakshi, focusing. Dhyanam means retaining. In both, effort is there. Will effort is there. To retain effort is there. To focus effort is there. Even will is also there. You want to do that. Anyway, so if If meditator does not, if he deliberately entertains a thought for some time, then the momentum of that thought occurs. The mind registers that thought pertaining to the Sakshi, whatever is there. I am Nityam, Shuddham, etc. And then mind dwells on that thought centered on the self by itself. So that shows now a different type of a mind has started this job. That is called subconscious mind. This capacity of the subconscious mind to stay or continue with the thought without requiring will and effort is called sukshma vritti anuvritti. Anuvritti, continuation. Sukshma vritti, because it is subconscious mind. Therefore, now it is not a consciously we are doing with will and effort. No. Now it continues because mind has registered now. And I will give you my own example now. But before that, let me tell you something. So many of our problems basically continue like this in our conscious mind, and if we are not able to solve it, then definitely it goes to the subconscious mind. And consciously you are active and thinking something else. Suddenly that solution props up. Last evening only it happened. I was discussing some matter regarding Panini. I was introducing that what are the Panini Sutras, just for knowledge purpose. Don't think Swamiji is trying to show something. No. But it's a very, very fresh example for me. And I was last evening only. I said the sutras, Panini Sutras, are made up of pratyaharas. Pratyahara means a cluster of letters together put in a certain language based on Maheshwara Sutras. So first Maheshwara Sutra is I Un. A, I, U and Na. So they have made a pratyahara to include all the three letters A, I and U. What they have made? An. An means Na is a ith letter. It has to be dropped. An is equal to A, I, U. And then the person was asking me, what is Swamiji, give some example of the sutra where An is used. And then I'd say something. And then, like that, I was giving a list of pratyaharas, and then suddenly I mentioned there is a pratyahara called ik, because the second sutra is, so first is I Un, then rulk. So ka is there, and so it has two, ru and ru. So if ak means a, I, u, ru and ru. And I mentioned ik, means except a, all four are there. I, u, ru, ru. And he said, Swamiji, but you said there is a usage in a, you have not given that in a pratyahara list. And I mentioned some sutra. Ik yanaha samprasaranam, something like that. He said, Swamiji, that sutra cannot be because you have used word ik. You said sutras are made up of pratyahara. Then in that sutra you have used ik, then ik pratyahara should be there, but you have not given me. So your sutra, what you are saying may be wrong. I said, yes. And then I was discussing something else. But it has gone to my subtle mind, subconscious mind. And you believe me, as the class was over and I got up, I remembered, ik pratyahara is there, eco energy sutra also is there, etc. Yana Sandhi, you know. And there, this is how it is. My point is, when a certain thought is registered in the mind, that thought will continue in subconscious mind. We call sukshma vritti, anuvritti, continuation. And you must have, people, you also must have experienced Some people ask you during conversation some name of a person, which both of you know, but nobody remembered. And he asked you, and you said, yeah, I'm trying, I'm trying, I'm trying. Huh. When you say I'm trying, you are going to your memory and searching for, but you are not getting. But mind has registered this issue, and mind has started already. You are now consciously talking something else. Conscious, in the conscious mind, different thoughts are there now. But that in subtle mind, subconscious mind continues. And after 5-10 minutes, oh, that name of this person is this, you say. So suddenly how it props up? That shows a mind, well, in subconscious mind, that thought continues. But being not in a conscious mind, will not call sthula vritti, will call sukshma vritti. And continuation, so sukshma vritti, anuvritti. Same way, if you continue in this samadhi, starting from thought, focusing on thought, then focusing on the sakshi, illuminator of the thought, and then characteristic of a thought, nityaha, shuddhaha, etc., etc. If you continue like that, after some time, well, now even your will effort are not there. Mind has already registered this thoughts centered on the self, and they continue. Now you are not consciously willing, putting efforts to bring those thoughts. It continues. Anyway, so when this deliberate mental activity, etc., stops, then this vritti is basically, I mean, in terms of other examples, we can take it. When, I mean, what is registered by the mind, if it is there in the subconscious mind, again, if you stop the deliberate activity, I mean, stop the activity of the conscious mind, definitely those vrittis again come back to the surface, which were there in the subconscious mind. So, this capacity of the subconscious mind is made use of to our advantage in this meditation involving this akhandakara vritti. In akhandakara vritti means now the khanda has gone. I am the subject, willing and putting efforts to retain those thoughts. That all is gone because mind has already registered. Mind says, now I don't require you. Mind means ahankara. So ahankara basically, well, the willing, putting efforts, etc., automatically subsides. When ahankara, the subject, subsides, then that doesn't remain as an object, sakshi, etc. But still, all the thoughts centered on the sakshi, as we have thought like that, that I am nityaha, I am Brahman, I am shuddhaha, I am Satchidananda, etc., whatever was there, that sukshma vritti, I am, sakshi, etc., all this continue. Without your being conscious of that. Now that state, in fact, that is a state of an absorption. We'll call it as a nirvikalpaka samadhi, in which even there is a no division of subject and object. Anyway, so, and then I was telling you that last time that, this is comparable to the deep sleep state. Comparable, not equal. Otherwise, we don't require samadhi. Every day we have samadhi, we should say. No, but it doesn't. Comparable. To understand this, we have another state which we have experienced. Samadhi you may not have experienced, but deep sleep state you have experienced. By that you can understand samadhi. So, even in a deep sleep state, the vrittis, the thoughts continue. You are not conscious of. Therefore, those vrittis, sukshma vritti, are there. In deep sleep, I will explain you later also. In deep sleep state, the vrittis are called ajnana vrittis because the object of those thoughts is blankness, darkness, ignorance. Sometimes we call them and say Karana Sharira Vritti, because the mind has resolved, the Karya has resolved into Karana. Karana Sharira is present, and there are thoughts occurring in such an unmanifest mind. Karana Sharira mind, Karana Sharira, unmanifest mind itself is Karana Sharira. It's not like that mind becomes unmanifest when there is a Karana Sharira, and mind basically becomes unmanifest, resolves, and remains in Karana Sharira. The unmanifest mind is Karana Sharira. Unmanifest pot is clay. Not that in a clay there is an unmanifest pot. People think that anyway, so all this gross body, everything is resolved. Senses, everything. Both the shariras, Sthula Sukshma, has come to the causal state, is called causal body. Unmanifest state. And therefore, now the thoughts occurring in that are called, why? How can you say thought? That I am discussing later. Right now we accept. Those thoughts you are not conscious of. If you are conscious of such a ignorance thought, ajnana vritti, you are not having deep sleep state. And therefore, there are vrittis, but which you are not conscious of, we will call sukshma vritti. And you continuously experience the ignorance, sukshma vritti, anuvritti. Deep sleep is a state, deep sleep state is an experience where subject-object division is resolved, and there are sukshma vritti, anuvrittis. Samadhi also, subject-object division is not there, and there are vrittis centered on the self, jnana vritti. But subtle. Therefore, deep sleep state, ajnana vritti, samadhi, jnana vritti. That's the difference. So, now there in deep sleep state, of course, I am in a blank condition. I don't experience anything, or I experience ignorance, blankness, darkness, whatever. So, but ahankara is not prominent. Subject object division is not present. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, also as in deep sleep state, the subconscious thought basically continues without subject-object division. You can say even Triputi also. Subject-object division, subject-object are connected to the vrittis. Even that is also not there. And therefore, conscious thoughts are not there. So in deep sleep, subconscious thought is ajnana vritti. In Samadhi, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, specifically, the thought is jnana vritti. This is the difference between them. And when such an inclination, for this akhandakara vritti, takes possession of the mind, you don't require now Vedantic words to call. Oh, what I have learned from Swami M, let me call now. I am sitting in Nididhyasana, let me bring them. No will. No effort to retain, nothing. They just continue. You don't require Vedantic words, you don't require thoughts, etc., by which you want to focus to one Sakshi as an illuminator of that. Nothing you don't require. Previously, thought was made use of to come to the consciousness, and then Vedantic words also were used to focus or understand the characteristic of this witness consciousness. Now this awareness of the self continues in the form of akhandakara vritti. Akhandakara means without subject-object division. Understand this. You are going to ask me, Swamiji, akhandakara vritti without Nirvikal Samadhi is possible? It is possible. It is possible. It is possible. That I will talk to you later. That's a different thing. So, such a condition is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Vikalpa means this division. Anyway, so thought continues without my being aware of them. Like in a deep sleep state, thoughts ajnanavritti continues without my being aware of them. If you are aware of your thoughts, they are called sthula vritti, conscious mind. If you are not aware of your thoughts, it is from subconscious mind. That's called Sukshmurti. And if they continue, we call Anuvritti. Anuvritti means which continues. And Samadhi also continues. Deep sleep also continues. In Samadhi, Jnanavritti continues. In deep sleep, Ajnanavritti continues. You continuously experience ignorance in a deep sleep state. Blankness in the deep sleep state. The moment you experience object, you have come out of the deep sleep state. Anyway. So, and for that, the example has been given even in the you can see in the verse number 26, Nivata Sthita Deepavat, and that is from 6th chapter. Yatha Deepo Nivatastha Nengate Sopama Smrita. So that this kind of thoughts in subconscious mind, the Sukshmurti Anuvritti valve is like an undistracted thought flow, and that is compared to the flame of the light, flame of the lamp, which is in a enclosure, which is not affected by the wind. Such a flame does not flicker. Similarly, the mind in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi remains in an undistracted flow of thoughts centered on Sakshi Self. Clear? Now the last question, but time is over. Vidyaranya has raised this question in the first chapter of Panchadashi, because he all talked about Nirvikalpa Samadhi towards the end of the first chapter, and there the question was raised, and Vidyaranya himself has answered. That we will see on next Friday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.